Hi there, I'm Dr. LaQuita, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about all things in between being and becoming a pharmacist. How you doing? You all right? If you do not know, I am a Naplex success coach. I help pharmacists pass the Naplex in 6 months or less by shifting their mindset, strategizing their plan, and studying effectively for the Naplex exam. And in this video, I want to continue this talk. Again, if you watched last week's video and the week last, I'm in this thing and talking about the Naplex, NABP's Naplex competency statements exams. And this is your first time ever hearing, seeing these things and all that. NABP is the National Board of Pharmacies, the National North American Board of Pharmacy Association, which they are the ones who orchestrate the Naplex exam. And the Naplex exam is our Naplex is the North American Pharmacist Licensure exam. And in all this here, what it does is they give you an outline of like things you can do and study. Now, the new statements have came out, it's been announced, and they will be coming out in May. But you are somebody who is studying for the exam and you want to take the exam before April 30th, before April 30th this year, go watch last week's video. I should link it somewhere here, right? Let me make a note to link it here. Then, if you are now, but I also told you, and I did a whole comparison video as well of comparing to. So again, I'll reference those videos here later and down below. But the thing is, we're going to talk about today is for someone who has the opportunity to take the exam for May 1st, but you don't think the likelihood you're going to be ready by May 1st. I want to give you some tips to help ease your mind, okay? And I guess these tips can be applied for the next few years because the NAP, they probably going to update these competency statements probably the next 4 years. So it's probably going to be current for the next 4 years, right? So let's let it, I don't know why I said like glow. Let's let it cook. I don't know why that popped in my head, but let's let it cook. But with that being said, let's talk about it. So one thing is, I'll say, like, if I was studying according to these competency statements, right? Again, I want to make sure that I understand this outline. I want to make sure that I get it. I understand this outline. Again, this is effective May 1st. Just one of the key things you want to make sure you understand. And I give you an overview and things this nature. Like it's been said that now we're going from 6 domains to 5 content domains in particular with these. And they have different kind of weights. So that's definitely an approach. So you want to make sure that you got a thorough review of the 2025 competency domains. Look, sorry, but I had to get a sip. But that's definitely want to make sure that you have that, and you want to focus on those weights because again, and this page here it tells you like area 3 is 12% of the exam, and you look at areas 1 through 3. That is 90% of your exam. So make sure you spend a lot of time in there. But don't miss the 10% now. Let's not miss it. But make sure you spend a lot of focus in those areas 1 through 3. You see what I'm saying? You catch what I'm giving, you got it all right then. Because it is a 200 score question exam. So you want to make sure that you be mindful of that, right? So that's definitely one thing to understand in that. But I'll go in more detail as well. And you want to make sure that second thing you want to do is make sure that you develop a comprehensive study plan. You want to make sure you want to have study time by the domain, like allocate that time to proportionally based on those weights. And we know area 3 is 40% of the exam. Hey, what does area 3 entail? That kind of thing. We're going to go into, but what does area 3 entail? Make sure we know those things are area 2. There 2 and 1, that's equally 25% of the exam. And another thing too you want to do when you develop your comprehensive exam is again to remember to use those study blocks. Incorporate those active study periods of 50 or 90 minutes with short breaks for optimal focus, because that's the thing that you're going to have to do when you're in the Naplex while you're taking the exam. Like make sure you can see, have those active periods. And again, I'm going to say If you haven't, if you never saw it, go back into Study With Me, Dr. LaQuita, where it's like a thing of I need somebody to still help me accountable. I do. There was times where, it's a thing where we do. Sometimes we did 2 hours. Sometimes it's like, hey, I only got a straight 90 minutes. Let me show you how I work in 90-minute sprint or a 75-minute sprint because I had something to do. So that's one of the things of making sure that you can do that, and it helps with your ultimate focus. Other thing is, again, you want to make sure you have utilize high quality resources. Make sure you have a Naplex, prep book. Again, if you want a video about that, what kind of prep books and stuff like that, let me know. We always welcome suggestions and recommend videos. Just comment below. Other thing is too, you want to think about is again like what resources that you need for the exam, and I think that's also could be a separate video as well. But now let's get into the meat and potatoes, exactly what this looks like. So for area 1, we want to think about, you look at it, area 1 is about the foundational knowledge of pharmacy practice. And if you look at this information, it's about the drug development process, the research and design, retrieval assessments. But a key thing you look at is talks about the pharmaceutical science principles, and it's like the pharmacology, pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, pharmaceutics, calculations, biostatistics, pharmacoeconomics. Like one of the key things that the domain 1 focuses on is pharmacology, biostatistics, and pharmaceutical calculations. You want to make sure that you develop a solid understanding of drug development processes and research principles, but you want to make sure that you, without a doubt, practice those calculations every single day, because now it's more important than ever, being that now it has combined with other things for that 25%. So be mindful of that. Domain 2 also focus on those medication processes, right? So with this, if you look at domain 2, you want to make sure you still like medication handling and therapeutic substitutions. You want to make sure you look at the immunizations protocols and things of this nature. Look at that, how it says like, documentations, the services, the handling, all that. You want to make sure that you pay attention to stuff of that medication order, how it looks, the dosage forms. That's definitely you want to pay attention to. Domain 3, which is a bulk 40% of your exam, you want to emphasize patient assessment as well as therapeutic monitoring, that adherence, the education. You want to make sure you take advantage of those case-based scenarios, when it includes like the medication therapy management. That's something you want to emphasize on. Domain number 4 is the professional practice. That's one of the things if you want to learn about public health initiatives, adverse reporting, and ethical considerations. Those are things you want to make sure you pay attention to. Looking into domain 5, the pharmacy management, more about understanding operational planning, the risk management, the quality improvement, and the strategic practice. So you want to make sure that you take our time to learn those things. Like for instance, like again, like the public health initiatives, are we talking about immunizations, right? For those who do not know, like if you still studying now, you haven't realized that pneumonia vaccine, at first it was a thing of it was 65 years and older to have, you need the recommendation for pneumonia vaccine, pneumococcal vaccine. But now it's for people, you can start at 50 years or older when it comes now. So you can start at 50, just like with the shingles shot. So now shingles vaccine and pneumococcal hand in hand, they turn 50. And then it comes to RSV. When RSV first came out, it was set on 65 years old, but you still can, but now it's like it's recommended more so in 75 years patients who are 75 years older, years of age and older, to get RSV. But people who are 60 to 74, RSV was 60. It was 60, not 65. It was 60. But now you still can get it at 60, 74. But you got to have like a severe risk for RSV in order to get that vaccine. So that's some things that have changed when it comes to guidelines. So it's like being something as simple as being up to date with that information. You want to make sure that you pay attention to, I'm saying, you study for the competency statements. And a key thing I would say is to make sure that you have real-time simulations. And that's one of the things that we focus on at 400 RPH, and especially with our signature program, the Naplex Play, that we make sure we give you real world simulations and scenarios when it comes to the exam, so you can be mindful of it. And I always want to say, if you don't have the money to invest in the programs and stuff like that, we understand. But make sure that you're involved with different, you collaborate, you have a study partner that you collaborate with, because that time is also needed to have those group discussions of things. Another practical tool that you want to make sure you're studying for, as I always say, like those test study strategies, right? You want to make sure that you allocate enough time to study, your time management. Simulate that environment, that 6-hour exam environment, making sure that you build your stamina and you manage your time effectively. That is something you want to make sure that you focus on, like, your critical thinking skills. You want to eliminate all those distractions that cause you to lose focus. And you want to say it again. If I say again, I said it before and I'll say it again, act like review, with the Naplex play. And I'll say at the 400 RPH, we have our own reviewing system that we show you how to review every single day. And it's working, is very effective. So that's one of the key things that you want to make sure that you do, that you constantly review. And like I said before, like I have a lot of pharmacists who have taken in Naplex before. And one of the key things they will probably say, the thing is, they will say, oh, I don't need more tests. They will say, we should review more. So make sure you can spend time on reviewing. You want to make sure you do that. And when it comes to like domains and going into more detail, let's not do that. Let's just put it this short. Like when it comes to the domains, 1 through 5. You're going to make sure with domain 1, the main goal of domain 1, the objective is to really understand the pharmaceutical science, principles of pharmacology, and calculations. So therefore, you want to make sure that you practice those calculations. You review, pharmacology, pharmacokinetics, and you want to practice calculations. When it comes to area 2, it's also like the foundational knowledge of practice. So the key thing you want to focus on is expanding those foundational topics, including those research, design, and evidence interpretation. Meaning that's pharmaceutics, the non-sterile, that's where the compounding portion come in. The drug development processes, like the FDA, the research design and biostatistics, the study types, the binding, the randomization, that can kind of come to play with this. So you want to make sure that you review those information as well. Like going over those compounding and different literatures of that. That's those statistical methods that you use in primary literature. In area 3, the medication process. The whole point of this is for you to understand the pharmacist's role in truly the medication use life cycle, which includes the prescribing of the drug, the dispensing of the drug, and the function of the drug. Like make sure that you understand like the medication order interpretation. Is this drug going to harm or harm the patient? Is it going to anticipate more side effects? Will the patient be adherent to things? The immunization service that you can have of a patient, based off they have you like, what would you recommend? This patient has diabetes. You want to make sure again the patient, when you're dispensing the portion of the medication handling, where would the patient store this particular medication? How would they dispose the medication, especially if it was a hazardous drug? Things of this nature you want to think about. When it comes to the personal-centered assessment and treatment plans, you want to think about, focusing on the assessing the patient's specific factors and managing their therapy. Looking at their medication history, looking at their reconciliation. You want to look into dang. You want to look into that, the patient-specific factors that the disease state has, or any kind of like therapy appropriateness or interactions, or the drug-drug interactions, or any kind of drug-food interactions, things of this nature. You also want to look into like focusing on those drug therapy monitoring and the adherence in the patient education. Therapeutic monitoring parameters, is it safe? Is it effective? You want to think about too the patient's lifestyle modification, the self-monitor that the patient has to do. How would you educate the patient if they're doing a testosterone shot? What would you educate the patient on? If the patient is taking methotrexate, what would you educate the patient on? Just different things of that nature. You want to be mindful of. You want to make sure you think about like the counseling of the patient. How would you counsel the patient on this disease state? And another thing is too, when it comes to the professional practice and the pharmacy management, you want to integrate that knowledge, across these domains and truly develop their like leadership and professional practice skills. And what that means is like simply, those like how would you report an adverse effect? What are some public health initiatives like the antimicrobial stewardship programs, the tobacco cessation programs, the quality insurance to help share with the pharmacy operations and leadership? What does that look like? So that's like definitely different things you want to, do and be mindful of. So again, when it comes to competencies, these competency statements, it's more of a clinical approach, if anything. And it's making sure that you understand the disease states, but look at it from like a clinical perspective as well. That's one of the key things you want to do. And I believe, again, like I said, this is where we're going to as the profession. We are healthcare providers, and I believe that these new competency statements are going in that direction of you more, thinking clinically, like put on your clinical hat. You are a pharmacist. Don't have to get that. It's just something simply as saying that, again, common example side effect most people always know is like, lisinopril causes cough. Key side effect most people know, right? So a patient comes in and say, hey, I got a cough, it's acting. The thing is, don't like, oh, let's go recommend Delsum over the counter. You can simply say, okay, yeah, that's good. Are you a patient here? Yeah. Okay, let me look at your medication profile. Let me see what kind of medication you have. Are you on any hypertensive medications? Saying that, look into that, like what kind of thing can possibly cause the cough? So just saying, oh, here's a treatment. We never treat the underlying condition. That's what I'm saying. Think clinically. Sometimes, we as healthcare providers, being that, and this is also including doctors, just saying healthcare providers, that we have developed a thing of, somebody complains of, here's the solution, but is it the best solution? And like us as pharmacists, if we come in and say, is this the best solution for this patient? And we have to think about that thing and think about those, okay? Hi there, I'm Dr. LaQuita J, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about all things in between being and becoming a pharmacist. How you doing? You all right? I am so excited, so excited. I know that you guys are studying for the Naplex exam, and here at Pharmacy RPH, we focus on Naplex prep, personal branding and career development, and I'm so excited to share with you guys that we'll be starting this new series called How to Pass the Naplex When You Are Overwhelmed and Out of Time. And today I am so excited to talk about this topic, because the topic we're going to talk about today is, it's not going to be your study plan. It's not going to be your flashcards. It's going to be your mindset. At Pharmacy RPH, we have our framework, and one of our key components of our framework when we're going through our programs and our services is going to be mindset. Mindset is so important, because let's just be real. What good is knowing all the mechanisms of action of drugs, all the side effects and these things? What's good to even know like strategies to start studying for the exam, how to prep for the exam, when you're still stuck in your head every time you sit down to study? Over my years of coaching, I have been coaching pharmacists in the passing the Naplex in the exam prep sector since 2017. I have been in career development since 2014. So we have been there. Like we've been around for a while. We have learned some things, okay? And especially with the career sector, because I have been in 4 sectors of pharmacy, community, PBM, government, as well as clinical. So you have a majority of a good background grabs on things, okay? So let me start by asking this question. Have you ever just sat down to study, right? And you already feel, before you even began, You already got this feeling of defeat. Before you even started, you feeling defeat. You're reviewing, let's say, hypertension or diabetes management, but that little voice in your head is screaming, you're not going to pass this exam. You're not going to pass anyway. Why study? See, what happens is no one tells you when you're studying for the exam, no one tells you it's not just about what you know. It's really about what you believe. Believe while you are studying. I literally have been in your shoes. And I took the exam 3 times. Not 1, not 2, but 3 times I took the exam. And what I've learned, it was my mindset. And this is one of the biggest things, and one of the biggest things that I've learned is the more times you fail the exam, the more times you're going to need mindset. It's going to be constantly mindset training, mindset shifting, always constant, all the time. And if you're walking into your prep with fear, with doubt, or shame from a past attempt, the test already has the upper hand. It already has the upper hand. Let me paint this picture for you. Because I want to make it realistic for you. You blocked out the time to study. You got your highlighters, you got your prep book, but just 10 minutes in, you're already distracted. Not because you're lazy, but because there's this very low voice just keep whispering to you over and over. This low voice whispering to you. You probably failed. You may fail this exam. And if it's someone who has failed, you failed before. What if it happens again? Or you should have started earlier. You're so behind. And before you know it, you keep reading the same 6 lines over and over, and still you can't remember a thing. Does it sound familiar? Does it sound familiar for you? Yeah, I heard it before too. I hear it before too. I hear it a lot. I hear a lot with my clients. A lot of times. Like, for instance, I had a client, and just for privacy purposes, and I would name her Dr. Johnson. Okay. But with Dr. Johnson, she came to me on her first Naplex fail attempt. She did not, she knew when she failed, it was not due to her lack of intelligence, but from burnout. That self-doubt, to do more without clarity. That's when she knew it was that. She was super smart. She graduated from pharmacy school with honors. She was top of her class. But when it came to the Naplex, she couldn't retain anything. Math became a blur. Pharmacology, it didn't like, what? The disease says what? Like, as if she never went to pharmacy school before. Not because she didn't know it, but because she was studying from a place of fear. Her study plan was filled with 10-hour days. And she was kept taking quizzes after quizzes, and she was scoring 60s. Why? Because every single page she read, she was battling imposter syndrome. Her brain was trying to protect her from the pain, not retain the information. And this isn't about this exam. It's not about intellect. This was an interference. The number one source of interference is our mindset. Her study sessions, even though they were 10 hours long, they weren't strategic. They were survival mode. And survival mode doesn't lead to mastery. Is this coming up for you? Am I saying something that's coming up for you? Because you got to think about that survival mode. It's constantly. You can't. Your body is still in this fight or flight, right? We know about fight or flight. We're in survival mode. For Dr. Johnson, it wasn't until we worked together on rebuilding her confidence and structuring that thing in structure, those things that shift. She passed not because she was studying harder. She passed because she studied like the registered pharmacist that she is. Because here's the truth. The truth is, most pharmacists who fail the Naplex don't study as pharmacists. They don't study as registered pharmacists. They study like students. They study like someone who's trying not to fail again. And let me break this down for you. When you're studying, especially with anxiety, your brain literally goes into threat mode, the fight or flight. Your brain is in survival mode. It shuts off the part that's responsible for retaining and applying the information. That increase of cortisol is blocking everything. That survivor energy is never going to lead to mastery. So even if you're putting in the hours, even if you're studying scared, but you're not studying effectively. And before we can fix your study strategy, we need to fix your self-concept. Let me explain. Your brain has a hard time retaining information when it feels unsafe. When you're anxious, you're working memory short circuits. That's why you can't, when you feel that's why you feel like you're learning, but on the exam day or when you get to test yourself, it draws a blank. You blank out because you're working in memory circuits. The mindset you bring to the process really matters just as much as the method you are using. And a lot of times people, when I ask clients, I ask them, hey, what was something that how did you study between your first year attempts? They tell me, oh, I use this program. But a lot of times it's not another prep book that you need. What you need is strategy. Oftentimes that's what we think we need. We don't need another prep book because no matter how the information is presented to you, you still got to learn it. You still have to learn it. And that's why at Pharmacy RPH, we just don't focus on what to study. We help you master how to study and who you need to become while doing it. I'm even going to give you an insider. And I'm going to give you an insight of what one of our signature frameworks that we have. It's called the Naplex Play. And let me show you the Naplex Play method. No, the Play method, because the program is Naplex Play. But the Play method. Inside this play method, it's the exact framework we use to help the ones who are taking Naplex on the first, second, third, fourth attempt, even fifth attempt. Those overwhelmed pharmacists get their confidence and license back. How? You say, Dr. LaQuita, how you do this? We set the foundation. 1, with the P, we prioritize what matters. Not all 80 plus chapters carry the same weight in your prep book. You need to strategically study based on the blueprint, the high yield concepts, and your weak zones. This also means that prioritizing mental clarity and wellness so you don't get burned out. Another way we go in, once we got to prioritize what's matter, we go into learning with intention. Mindless reviewing does not work. That's why at Forming RPH, we have developed our method called the SCORE method, where you must connect the why behind each topic to understand how it helps patients in real life. You have to learn with intention. So with the SCORE method, you're not just reviewing just to say, oh, I need to review. No, we're going to connect. With our coaching calls, we learn with intention. You're connecting, okay, this is why this works, and this helps with a real patient. You anchor your learning with purpose and clinical application. Then you also, once you master how to learn with intention, you want to focus on that applying, not just memorizing. Because the Naplex isn't an exam where you just recall everything, you just regurgitate and vomit everything. It's an application exam. You must train like a clinical thinker, not a trivial contestant. Not, oh, let me go see what I can do on these quiz questions. But you train like a clinical thinker. The active recall, the case-based studies, the daily application, that all matters. All that matters. And you want to yield to structure. Discipline beats motivation every single time. Discipline beats motivation every single time. You have to stick to your personalized plan. Follow your review rhythm. For us, it's the SCORE method. Even in clinical thinking, we have a method called FAR method to help you think critically and clinically. Because the discipline is going to beat motivation every time. Oftentimes, it's just like this. Oftentimes, we want to start this new habit, but you have to really ask yourself, who do you need to become to go to the next level? Who do you need to become to go to the next level? You know, that's one of the things we have to really ask ourselves. Who do we need to become to go to the next level? And I'd have jumped ahead, and I'm just going to stay right here because this is the truth. I wanted to take this time out. I want to really have an exercise for you for this week, in this training, in this series. I really want to have it where we can really dissect this, because you have to state your intention of why you even want to pass this exam. Because I think it's oblivious to why we want to pass and we don't know why. Why do we want to pass this exam? So I'm gonna give it to you. Oh, and I was like, yeah. Let me make sure I got this good so you can see it perfectly. And I want you to take this time, and then you need to pause, sit yourself right now and pause. But pause this video and really ask yourself, why am I studying for the Naplex? Why? Seriously, write it down. Not because I have to, not because of but it's not because of what I have to, it's because who you are becoming. And to give you some examples, some of my previous clients have written, The reason why I'm studying for this exam, because I'm tired of putting my life on pause. Dr. Carter wrote, I deserve to walk in my calling as a pharmacist. Dr. Clark wrote, because my patients need me. You see that? Why are we studying for this exam? It's because you're tired of putting your dreams on hold? Is it because you're ready to stop doubting yourself and step into your next level? Why are we studying for this Naplex exam? Take a moment, pause. Take 30 seconds and write it down. Pause this video if you need to. This is your intention. And without intention, everything becomes a task list. So pause. And I'm going to stop. Now, I hope you had pause, because I wasn't going to keep waiting for you to pause. I hope you've done follow the instructions, but let's anchor that belief even deeper. Let's anchor it deeper. I really want you to take this time out to complete this sentence. I want you to finish this sentence. I passed the Naplex because what? You passed the Naplex because of what? Post it in the comments. Be bold. Say it out loud. Write it on a mirror. Why did you pass this Naplex? You passed the Naplex because you're committed. I'm committed, not just interested. I passed the Naplex because I trust myself in the process. I passed the Naplex because I show up like a licensed pharmacist before I get the license. Why did you pass this exam? Take a moment, pause, and write down, why did you pass this exam? Because here's the truth. Here's the truth. This affirmation, this mindset, it's not fluff. It's identity alignment. I am a true witness of this. I promise you, I am a witness of this. I have been coaching for years. And I see so many pharmacists. There are too many aspiring pharmacists who have not been able to successfully pass this exam because of their mindset. And I don't want that. I don't want that to be you. I don't want that at all for you. Your biggest reason is because you don't tackle the mind. And that's one of the first things we do in our program. The first and foremost thing we do. We have to tackle the mindset. Because I realize no matter how good of a coach I am, if you don't believe you're worthy and ready and you're ready to receive this, and you're constantly in survival mode, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And truth be told, nobody gonna get that. But you know what? Let's just, yeah. And I'm gonna say it. Truth be told, I believe the lack of focus many of us stress with is a spiritual warfare. It's not that you're not smart enough, you're worthy or capable. It's your thoughts that hold you back in this process. I know with my clients, just like you, they come to me. I have they want to pour into their journey. I pour so much to their journey. I refuse. When they come to me, I refuse to let them stand by and allow them to sit in their mindset that makes you believe this is not, the exam is not possible, because the exam is on a short stint of your whole entire career as a pharmacist. It's on a short stint of it. This exam does not have to be the barrier between you and your dreams. And when we work together, this is about making sure you have the mindset support to shift these stories that show up when you're already worked so hard for. You've already invested so much. This is the make it or break it point for a lot of pharmacists. It is. Because it's the survival mode that we're studying. It's those thoughts that keep coming up that we don't know how to address. And honestly, I've given you the blueprint already. When those thoughts come up, you go back into this. You go back into I passed the exam because. When that dark thought goes in and say, oh, I can't, you go back into I passed the exam because of this. This is what you go to. Because mindset is going to be the key thing over and over and over. It's going to be your mindset. I want to really, truly, I want to invite you into this deeper transformation. Because a lot of times you're going in thinking you need another prep book. You need this resource. But you haven't mastered what's already at your hands. Studying harder won't help if you're studying scared. It will not help you. The real block may not be your brain of I can't retain maybe your brain of you're incapable of studying because you already been to pharmacy school, right? But your belief is definitely one. Your belief. The play method. It gives you the foundation to reset and reclaim your confidence. The very first step is aligning the version of you who's already passed. Because guess what? That version of you isn't waiting. It's not waiting for you it's not waiting on you. It's already here. You're already here. She's already here. You just have to activate her. And if this has resonated with you, please, let's not stop here. Let's not stop here. If this has resonated with you, let's not stop at all. We're just beginning. Let's not stop. Because in the next episode, part 2, I'm going to show you how to take that mindset shift and apply it to your study sessions. Using those tools that's going to retain your brain, would not retrain your brain, not your overwhelmed to-do list. Because 70 ain't the ceiling. Most people think it's 70 ain't the ceiling of what you should be, the measure of how you know you're ready for the exam. 70 ain't the ceiling. And if you are really ready to go deeper and you want my help in building your personal Naplex plan, I want you to check the links below. Check the links below. Where that is for you to book a strategy call, to learn how I can serve you, because I have services that I do not list on our on our website. Or you may want to learn more about the Naplex play. Check the link below, and then you can always find me. You can email us at contactme@LaQuitaJohnson.com. You can also visit our website at LaQuitaJohnson.com. Or you can find me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, at Dr. LaQuita J. But until next time, remember that pharmacy is on the limit if you are. Now go be great, and I will talk to you guys later. Hi there, I'm Dr. LaQuita J, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about all things in between being and becoming a pharmacist. How you doing? You all right? I want to jump right into it in this video because I want to get into it, honey. If you do not know, I am a Naplex success strategist. I help pharmacists pass the Naplex in 6 months or less by shifting their mindset, strategizing their plan, and still effective for the Naplex exam. And one of the biggest things I have noticed when pharmacists are studying for the exam, one of the things is we're absolutely always trying to raise our Naplex score by reading more, right? You want to read more, you want to take more quizzes, you want to do all the things that you think this is the way to help your brain get it. It's going to finally stick if I do these things, right? But the problem is when you start reading, you begin to highlight, and you start highlighting every single thing because you think everything is important. And this is often raised by the thing is your brain doesn't help doing that doesn't necessarily help your retention, because you're just reading, you're highlighting, everything's important. It's more passively doing, right? You may say, okay, but what does this look like? So let me give you an example, right? So let's say you go to the grocery store, right? And you're going to the grocery store for one thing. And I'm going to say some coffee creamer, right? I'm going for some coffee creamer. And you walk in, you notice you grab eggs, you grab bread, you grab some snacks. All these things are something that you did not go to the grocery store for. You only went for coffee creamer, right? And when you get home, you realize, oh, I forgot the coffee creamer. The very thing that I went to the grocery store for, I forgot to do. And that's exactly how a lot of pharmacists, when you're studying for the Naplex exam, that's exactly how it happens. You sit down with the best intentions to study a particular topic, right? You read, you highlight, you feel busy. It's like you're doing something. But on test day, it's like you forgot every single thing that you needed the most. You forgot everything. You don't have the ability to recall the information you studied, how to apply under pressure. You just don't understand it. See, this is what I'm saying. That's because, am I at your row? Am I at your row? That's one. Am I at your row? Because here's the truth. If you practice, most of the time we want to practice with the sitting down. We want to get the scores of 60 to 7% range, or sometimes 80% range on the quiz banks, right? But to be honest, that's not your ceiling. 70 is not the ceiling. It just means your method is working against how your brain learns sometimes. Because retention, it isn't about how much you spend on something. It's about how you intentionally interact with the material. Another example, right? At one of my jobs, at my job, there we have to, our password constantly changes every 3 months. It's a randomized password. And I have to say, okay, how I'm going to remember this information. Granted, I can spend time looking at it and kind of keep studying the password over and over, but I can be intentional how I interact with the password. Like, for instance, the most recent password begins with MW. I said, oh, it's a person whose initials are MW that I work with. It was easy for me to remember, right? But those are one of the things, the techniques you have to see. But then it's like, okay, with this number, oh, okay, well, I graduated in this year, so that's the number 7. Like, you just remember different things, put things together, right? That's how you have to. It's the same concept of, say you remember someone's name, you're remembering a password. It's the same concept when it's time for the information to you remember the Naplex information. Even though you're like, but Dr. LaQuita is so much information. I know, but it's the same basic principle. Because most of us, especially in pharmacy school, we were not taught how to study, especially at a doctoral level. We were not taught how to study. We were taught what to study. And oftentimes when clients come to me, especially those who on their second or third attempt, they come to me because that's how they treat the Naplex. They treat the Naplex as a memory dump, but it's an application exam. You just can't read and hope it sticks. You have to be intentional with the information, be interactive with the information. And I want to introduce you a method that I teach my clients. And it's no secret with this method. It's proven, been around for years. And I want you to think of this method as your shopping list for your brain. So when you walk into the exam, it's not like you're going to forget the coffee creamer, okay? So I want to introduce you. And I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you guys, because I've been coming with my little slides, honey. And I forgot to tell you guys that this is part 2. Well, where are my manners? This is part 2. Oh, I'm picking the wrong thing. Part 2 of our study, of our series called How to Pass the Naplex. This is part 2, and I want to dive right into it, okay? Of it. And I want to introduce you this method that I teach my clients called the SQ3R method. And this particular method, it stands for survey for S, Q question, and the 3, because it's 3 R's, read, recite, and review. Now don't worry, because I'm gonna go break this down, and I will try, and I do practice as a HIV clinical pharmacist, so I'm going to help you, guide you with how can you apply this with HIV, right? And when you use this method, it really transforms your study sessions from that passive reading to active retention. So let's walk through this, how you're going to use the SQ3R method on the Naplex, and especially one of these heavy hitters, HIV, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to survey. We want to survey before we dive into a chapter, right? We want to make sure, I keep clicking the wrong thing. I'm trying to multitask here. There we go. I'm trying to multitask here. So one of the things we want to do is when we survey, we want to survey. We want to skim. Before we dive into chapter, we want to make sure we dive into your notes. You want to skim and see what the chapter or sessions are talking about. So in essence, we were talking about HIV, right? That's the one I was looking for. Okay, yeah. So in the essence of we were talking about HIV, we want to scan and go through like the major headings. Like one is going to be the HIV life cycle. That's one. Then we're going to go into the antiretroviral classes. There goes another one. Then we want to go to our preferred initial regimens. Then we want to go into combinations, because there'll be like the combinations of the drugs. Then we also want to go into PrEP versus PEP. Those are some kind of settings we want to do. So we want to check out those subheadings. Like when we come to the HIV life cycle, how many stages is that life cycle? Like those are questions we want to look at, like, oh, okay. We want to survey what's about to happen. survey what we're about to read so we can know. Like, check out those subheadings, because when it comes to the HIV classes, you're going to have the NRTIs, the NNRTIs, the INSTIs, protease inhibitors. You want to glance at those tables, guidelines, like glance at the summary so we can get an idea, because what you're doing is you are painting your mental map. And it's like scamming the grocery store aisles before you shop, right? Look at it from that. Okay. So the next thing we want to do, we're looking at the HIV, we want to make sure that we question. The second is the Q is the question. We want to question. Now you're going to turn like each heading into a question, or your subheadings into a question. So your brain can automatically start hunting. Now, one of the killer things I would say that I tell my client, I'll say, well, first off, I start that why we do this, because your brain loves to solve problems. Is wired to find answers. So we want to make sure we do this. And this is a killer method, because I often tell my clients, like, some of the things, especially someone who has taken a Naplex before, or even, I'm not going to say just if it is your first attempt taking Naplex exam, you want to look into saying, okay, what kind of questions? Think about things you already know, especially if it's your second attempt. I think most of you've seen it before. Like, think about things you already know that you struggle with, and start writing questions down. Just write the questions down for things you already know you struggle with. Like, okay, what exactly does the mechanism of a integrase inhibitor does? Which HIV regimens are first line treatment for naive patients? What is a combination for AAA? What is a side effect of efavirenz? What is the generic name? Well, not generic. What is the brand name of the efavirenz, right? Which drug causes hyperbilirubinemia? I'm butchering that, but y'all got it, okay? We want to get in the habit of asking yourself these type of questions, because now your brain is on a mission. It's on a mission to solve these questions, not on autopilot, but we constantly reading something. Then now we know in this is the time that we want to read. We actually want to go into reading. So this is the time we say, okay, I can read this information now. Now with reading, you're going to do exactly what it does. This is where you go to your question. This is where you're actually reading the section, but as you're reading with purpose. You're looking for the answers to the questions you just proposed to yourself. For example, we said that, okay, what is the mechanism, like the mechanism for integrase inhibitors? Like, what's the mechanism actually? How exactly do they work? A question could be, now once we start studying integrase inhibitors, we can identify the drugs. Dolutegravir, bictegravir, ratiregravir. We can list those drugs. Now we can see, the mechanisms of action. They block the HIV DNA from integrating in the host genome. That's it. What particular stage is that? Because again, we said the HIV has a life cycle. At what stage does the integrase inhibitor works? And that's just a keynote. Some like 1 or 2 key. I think I'm shaking, but it's okay. 1 or 2 keynotes is that, like, dolutegravir, is pregnancy. You want to caution it in patients with our first trimester, but that is something like you want like remember like keynotes about that. Bictegravir is often in a lot of combo tablets. That's a keynote, like a look like Jim you can write down. And you want to make sure you're highlighting only what's essential, because a lot of times we just highlight just to highlight. But remember, if everything is highlighted, nothing, you're not going to remember too much of it. Just because it's highlighted doesn't mean it's like essential, because really when you highlight, you want to only highlight what is really essential to the information. But these are some things you want to start doing. So again, going back, S is survey. Q, you want to write your questions. Survey the landscape before you even read, like shopping the aisles. Then you want to question, like, because even to the point where you skim the aisle, you say, I like something. You want to question, but do I really need this? It's the same way, like, question, like, what do I don't understand? And then you want to start reading, and you want to actively look for things. So if we were talking about the grocery store, the reading, we didn't read no labels, but The reading would be, oh, let me go read my shopping list, okay? Which was to get coffee cream. All right. The next thing we want to do is we want to recite. You want to now we have to start identifying, as we read, we're answering questions, right? So we want to start the process of looking away from the page and answer the questions out loud. Like, for instance, what is the mechanism of action? But the key thing is when you ask these questions to put them in your own words. So for the question of what is the mechanism of action of integrase inhibitor, it prevents HIV DNA from integrating into host cells DNA by blocking the integrase enzyme, hence the name integrase inhibitor, right? Then we also, one of the questions was asked was, which HIV regimen are considered first line for treatment naive patients? That would be integrase inhibitors plus 2 NRTIs. So that could be like bictegravir with tenofovir, tenofovir, alendamide, that one, intracitabine, or it could be dolutegravir or abacavir and amlodipine. Those are some things. And even if you can't answer, you can go back and check, and then try again. But constantly saying it out loud forces your brain to organize and recall the information. And a lot of times too, and the key thing when we're reciting things is to put it in our own words, because we just don't want to regurgitate something that we just wrote down. We want to but how can, like I was asking my client, but how are you going to remember this though? Like, how are you going to remember this? That's a game plan. Like, how are you going to remember this information? Because it's the same way of, like I said, the password. You have to make it relate back to you. Follow me? And if you liking this and you like the way it's like this, look, drop a comment below. Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. I want to know. And we're gonna get into this third R. And the third R, I almost thought I was like bro man saying from the 5th floor. I was like, hold up, let's make sure we got these numbers right, okay? But the third R is gonna be review. We want to make sure to review especially within 24 hours. We want to review the same questions again. And this is a big point of I always tell my clients, where when we review, you have to review, because if you don't review, it's never going to your long-term memory. It's only going to stay in short-term memory. So you have to constantly review. And within those 20 hours, you want to make sure you review your notes, the questions, and you want to repeat the reciting. Constantly repeat the citing. And at the end of the week, you just want to run through those HIV questions, because repetition moves all the information for you. It's going to move everything from that short-term to long-term recall. And that's exactly what happens on the exam, because the Naplex is a very random test. I don't care what Facebook group you're in, what thread you're reading or anything. Anything is upgrades for the exam. I don't care if people like, oh, I see the exam and such on my exam, but that ain't gonna be on your exam. It changes, okay? It really do changes. So I want to make that very clear, okay? Let's make that very, very clear. I do. But I also want to make sure I tell you, like, I'm teaching you this method, but I really want to hone in on why it works. Because oftentimes, again, this method works. And let me make sure, just in case you like, oh, what was the method again? SQ3R. Survey, question, read, recite, review. Okay. And with this method, it's so important because you want to make sure, you have to understand that the Naplex is not a open book exam. It's a open book brain exam. It's like an open book brain exam. And the reason why this SQR3 method works, because it activates multiple learning channels. You got visual, if you're a visual learner, auditory learner, kinesthetic learner, it activates all of that. Visually, you get to answer the questions. Auditory, you reciting. Kinesthetic, you actually going to teach, because you're teaching yourself the answer. It's literally solving a problem. You started with a question, now you're answering the question. It also prevents you from doing that passive reading. Sitting here, you started reading something like, oh, I just read some, I don't even know what I just read, because you wasting time. You passive reading. You're not even trying. Your mind's not even ready to receive the information, because it doesn't know what it's looking for. And that passive reading is an absolutely recall killer. And it also helps too, because when you get these questions, it builds in that space repetition automatically that you need, and it gives you structure, so you know what intentionally when you're about to, intentionally what's about to happen. Every single time you study, okay, let me answer these questions. Even if you go back, in the program Naplex Play, I teach my clients, I don't teach my clients, I teach them, and they also use my proven method called the SCORE method, which it has space repetition, and it also gives you this structured way of reviewing. So that is very important. And when you study this way, you'll notice that when you start studying this way and you start doing quizzes, you'll notice that your test, your quiz scores will improve. And not saying that 70 is that ceiling now. We're not saying that. We're not saying like 70 is not the ceiling. It really becomes your floor, because just like you're starting up, it is just where you're starting from. It's not necessarily the ceiling. It's going to be your floor. And the SQ3R method isn't about working harder. It's about studying in a way that your brain loves to remember things, because in the day, our brain loves to study. Our brain loves to solve problems. A lot of times that's what we're doing, and we're solving a lot of problems a lot of the time. And if you're ready to really start applying these high yield concepts, I advise you to go back and watch episode 1 to get your mindset ready, because when you combine the confidence with the right, you get the confidence with the mindset with the right method, that's when your results start to change. As I said, I help pharmacists passing Naplex in 6 months or less, shifting their mindset, strategizing their study plan. We're shifting our mindset in episode 1. We're adjusting. We're strategizing our study plan here with this SQ3R method. And we're going to start studying effective for the Naplex exam. Because if you want me to I just walked through this. I also mentioned the play framework that's in episode 1. But if you want to learn more about us and how forming the RPH and how I can help you, go to LaQuitaJohnson.com. Feel free to book a strategy call. I will link that below here. And let's talk. Let's see. Let's give you a strategy. Because a lot of times I offer things that are not on my website, because I just feel like I want to dilute all the things I do. Okay?
I was not ready for this moment at all. Y'all, I was not ready for this video. I just watched one of my clients share her story publicly. And let me tell you, it took me back. It took me back. It took me back to why I do what I do. It took me back to say the underdog was going to be on top. It took me back to this year. If you do not know, this year is our 5th year of Forming RPH. It's our 5th year, consistently serving clients. If you do not know, I am Dr. LaQuita J, and I'm a pharmacist, of course, and I graduated from pharmacy school in 2016. And after 2016, I just had a hard time passing my exam. I took the exam 3 times, not 1, not 2, but 3 times. And it was rough. And it was one of those times where very shameful, still kind of stigma today, but and when I finally passed, I began to help other classmates who passed. And I started helping other people, and I kind of stopped because I went and got my master's in public health, and I started working full time. I was like, okay, let me get, I couldn't just manage that anymore. But then I had this little unction to start back. So in 2020, I decided, 2019, I was prepping. I was like, in 2020, it's your year. And we launched in 2020 full time before I need the RPH. And this is our 5th year. And oh my gosh, what a great way. What a great way to celebrate this. What a great way to just celebrate it, to celebrate what we do, the work we do, and how we move forward. What does the next 5 years look like? And my client, Virginia Scroggins, and we first met. I was thinking when we first met, I remember we met in pharmacy school. She was actually my classmate in pharmacy school, and I didn't know, because when we graduated from pharmacy school, she was, even before, like, in pharmacy school, she was focused on beach body, all about fitness, and it was like, oh, she's doing pretty well. And then it was like one of those things it was like a lot of things with my classmates. Like, I got some bum classmates. I'm just gonna say that they are bum. Like, they are non-traditional pharmacists in a whole bunch of ways. Okay, we want to talk about that one day. I'm gonna have to bring them in. But she was one of those people. I just always felt like, oh, she just, she's doing well in beach body and fitness, that, she'll be like a pharmacist background. I always thought, like, maybe she's just practicing pharmacist, being like, part-time. Little to my knowledge, I did not know that she was never practicing. And I was like, okay. And oh my gosh, I remember last year, she booked a strategy call. She messaged me on Instagram. She was like, I love it. I love everything you're doing. Oh my gosh, I love everything. She's like, I just been watching your whole YouTube channel. I'm ready. I'm ready to buy. I'm ready. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, all the time, like the time, like when I'm excited, I said, oh my God, it's just every time, Regina, like, just excited to see her. So we had our strategy call. She said, I'm so get me in. And I think I had an event. Oh, that's what it was too. And then she joined our Naplex Restart event in October. She was like, okay. And she joined it, and she was just so, and I was like, okay. I was like, Regina. It's every time. And it was just one of those things of, I had to remind myself that, girl, we a business owner. Secure her as a client, because it's just like, but anywho, I was like, I could cut to myself, like, just, sign her, because I need to say, hey, we business, right? But fast forward, she signs, become a client. I can see. So I gave her a play. I told her, she was like, well, it need to happen. I'll just be honest. I know what kind of program I have, and I know that with this program, with bases and things of this nature, like, I've been in the game for a while, and I was like, I really think you could benefit from, joining this program. And she'll tell you her story. I'm not gonna tell her story, but I said, I think you benefit from this, and then I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna come in with it, right? Because in the day, I realized as a Naplex coach, people can give you all the information in the world. They can organize it in a pretty book. They can have amazing videos and things of this nature. But the truth of the matter is, how are you going to remember the information? And how are you going to apply the information? And that's what I focus on. I help, most time pharmacists think they just need another prep book, another test bank. No, you need a coach. You need strategy. And we focus on strategy, and that's what I always say. I'm a Naplex, Naplex and Pharmacy Success Strategist, because that's what we do, honey. We strategize. We strategize to play for your life. And I got my notes. You might see me go a little bit because I want to make sure I hit some things. And with that, she came a client, and I could just see the weight she was carrying. She's still managing being a full-time business owner, still have 2 kids. One was very sickly a lot during its time. Her husband was traveling overseas. So it was a lot. Like, she had a lot going on. Not just like oversharing her business, but those are things that are public knowledge, okay? Let me say they are public knowledge, because I wouldn't even, majority of the time, I have a lot of people, I don't say their name because it's such a stigma sometimes, and I understand. But Dr. Scroggins, she had this quiet resilience, because the thing is, from business owner to business owner, you have this thing where you have this thing inside of you that you do. She just now had to apply from business to the Naplex. And because I understood that familiar heaviness that she had, I could see it in her eyes, the way that she was saying, like, I'm trying so hard, but I don't know if I can do it anymore. And it's like, hey, I can see that. I can hear that. I invited her to our consultation call, which is a strategy call. And I just asked her a simple question. And the question I asked her was, what would change in your life if you passed the exam? And she had paused. And I never forget. And it was even, I don't think it was our consultation call, but I also asked this during our welcome. We do a mindset when we welcome our clients in. We prepare you for this journey. We do a whole mindset training. It's like a mindset intensive. And we want to set the foundation of what's about to happen because we have to ask these questions. And I remember asking her this question even again, like, what would happen? What would change in your life if you pass this exam? And she was like, everything. My confidence, security for my kids, my children, my family, my future. She just said, she was like, nothing is certain, and I want to be certain that, hey, I want to show up for my parents. They provided for me. I want to make sure I show up for them. All the things they have helped me with. And that her children show them. And I was like, oh, amazing. See, that moment right there, I knew we were meant to work together. I knew it was more than just, because my thing is, it has to be more than just passing the exam, because this is a life transformation. With all my clients, they walk away with saying, I can do anything, because they saw the transformation of how they came in overwhelmed, not studying afraid, studying thinking I might fail this exam again, to walk confidently in the exam, boosting their confidence to say, hey, I know enough. Because you got to say, I know enough. And I know enough to pass this exam. I am a competent pharmacist. We have to go through that transition, We had to do that. And it was just so much. And I just want to really share with y'all a piece of this video. Let's hope it play. Look at me. Let's hope it play in all. And let's share this video. This is the video. It's on her Instagram, Dr. Virginia Scroggins. It's Virginia Scroggins. We'll link it. But this is it. And I was like, even that shot right there, that is our playbook. That is our mastermind. That is what clients work on in between our coaching calls. Those highlighters, she need their highlighters because we have our own score method that we help people. We have our own framework called the score method that helps you review the information. And I see and then it's it's what I work on Kim. I'm like, oh, but then I saw she held up a thank you card because it's thank you. But even on the thank you card, the back of it, we got scriptures because we know this is a spiritual warfare we finna go into. We gotta be ready for it, okay? But let me stop. Let's take a look at this, okay? Let's take a look. Hope I can play video. If the music don't play, we're gonna be okay. All right, let's see. You see it? See this, our baby? You see the thank you card? Oh, studying. Getting her hair done, studying. Commit to the process. Look at her. Oh, it's never too late. And that's the reminder. It's never too late. You're not too old. You can do anything you put your mind to. You're not too late. Oh my God. Listen. Okay. Y'all can go watch. And she has a bum caption. I couldn't figure out put that in the thing, but I'll link it below for y'all to go watch it. Okay, it's just amazing to see this reminded me so much of the version of me who took. I'll just keep playing. Like let's keep it playing. Let's just keep it playing. Y'all can just keep seeing it because this reminds me so much of the version of me who had to take the exam more than once. The version of me who doubted herself, who thought I'm not smart enough. LaQuita, why are you even trying to take this exam? Why? You know, that's what they remind me of. She reminded me, Dr. Scroggins reminded me of me. But the whole trip about it is Dr. Scroggins was smart enough. She was smart enough. She just needed a new system. That's all she needed was a new system. She needed a new way of seeing herself. She didn't need another review book. I mean, she did. Don't get me wrong. She needed a way. She needed a structure of how to do things. She needed, I would say this, she needed a review book, she needed a system. But she needed more belief. She needed strategy. She needed structure. And someone who saw her beyond that score report. Because a lot of times I had to tell my clients, like, hey, you talking to Dr. J now. We all pharmacists around here, you know. I had to tell them, like, hey, you talking to me. We're all pharmacists here. We're all pharmacists here. And this is where the Naplex play came in. Together, we rewired that voice in her head that kept whispering to her that saying, you'll never pass the exam. And taught her to say, watch me. Okay? She committed to the mindset work. Every morning, Monday through Friday, we send out motivation, get them started ready. She didn't just, and then it came to the coaching sessions, the co-working sessions. She didn't just show up. She showed up for herself. She learned how to stop letting anxiety control the clock. Dr. Scroggins learned how to execute under pressure because we give you the strategy to perform under pressure, to give you as much real life conditions as possible when it comes to take the exam. Because we understand we're not going to take the exam for you. So you have to be prepared to take the exam by yourself and how you think. We constantly did the correction of how she thinks. Okay, that's good. Okay, think this way. Okay, see what you're doing now? You're not reviewing, I can tell. Because you're not thinking this way. It's not being said. It's those things and calling people out and having that accountability piece for it. But most important of all this, Dr. Scroggins learned how to finally trust her mind again. And as you can see, we say Dr. Scroggins, because in the program, we always call each other doctor, because we all doctors. Sometimes you just got to be reminded that you are one. Because when you graduate from pharmacy school, you became a pharmacist. You graduated a doctor of pharmacy. The thing is, now we're trying to do is get you to RPH. They register pharmacists. Hence our name, Pharmacy to RPH. I say this often, but Dr. Scroggins is truly my ideal client. Not because she was perfect, but because she was coachable, committed, hungry, honest, determined, showed up despite of. Because I kept telling them over and over, I kept saying, I said, when y'all really commit, it's not going to take long. People always say, the book, it went by fast. It goes by fast. Why 40 days? Why 40 days? Because it don't take long. When you commit, you commit. When I had said 2017 was going to be my year, I finally take the exam and pass, right? Okay. And guess what? I started January off strong. Between January and March, it was iffy. But April, I committed. I had committed. 100% committed in April. May 9th, I took the exam. Passed. That was 36 days. I'll say it went April 1st. Was it April 1st? Yeah. Was it April 1st? I don't think it was April 1st. I think it was like a weekend. It was like that Monday in April. I know. It was like 36 days. 36 days. It took me to pass. Somewhat April 3rd, but y'all get it. So she locked in. Dr. Scroggins just didn't she just didn't want to pass the test. She wanted to grow. And I am just truly, 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 truly honored of witnessing that transformation. When I saw her video yesterday, I saw a different woman. I saw confidence, calm, powerful, a registered pharmacist. Not just on paper, but in posture. I just sat there thinking, wow, look at God. I'm not going to cry because I shared tears yesterday. But it is, yeah. Like I said, I was. And my eyes started watering, But hey, I love it. Oh, so if you're watching this and you where Dr. Scroggins used to be, questioning yourself, tired, wondering if you get one more try, if you got one more try left in you, I want you to hear this. Okay? I want you to hear this. You don't need to do it alone. You don't need to feel ready to start. You just need to decide that you're doing it sitting in doubt. You're doing it afraid. You're doing it despite how many attempts. You're doing it despite who got something to say. You're doing it because at the very moment you become a registered pharmacist, it's the God ordained time for you to become a registered pharmacist. You're doing it. The moment you commit, we shift everything. The moment you commit, everything shifts. And I'll be right there with you on the other side of the decision. Right there with you. But Dr. Scroggins, we don't know. We do not know what's about to happen. But I know one thing. She graduated from pharmacy school with me in 2016. Next year makes 10 years for us. I've seen her transform from when we started January 28th until she took this exam June 20th. I've seen it. I've seen it. And I know one thing, she got it. And if you're ready to become your own success story, you know where to find me. Because your name deserves to follow by RPH2. One of the biggest things that happened between my first two attempts and my final attempt was, again, if you have seen the rolling theme of this journey, is overcoming those limiting beliefs. One of the biggest obstacles I faced in my first 2 attempts at the Naplex was my own limiting beliefs. I've doubted my abilities and allowed fear to cloud my judgment. I realized in order to succeed, I needed to shift my mindset. I started by identifying the negative thoughts that were holding me back, such as, I'm not smart enough, or you will never pass this exam. I replaced those thoughts with positive affirmations, reminding myself of my capabilities, reminding myself the hard work I have already put in, reminding myself, and again, if you have the unbelievable mind, that's that declaration when I had to say, hey, I had to tell myself, girl, you afraid of failing a test? You know how many tests you failed in undergrad? Like, you afraid to fail a test? Like, it's just a test. And it was one of those things of reducing the giant. Don't get me wrong, this test has more weight than the other ones, but it's a test. It's something that could be passed. It's not like losing my mother. I can't get her back in physical form, but I can pass a test. It's just like a job. You can get fired, lose a job, but you can get a job. It's just one of those things, right? So definitely that mindset and going through all those things I had to do to challenge my mind. The second thing was my routine, and it was my routine before I even studied. To commit to getting up early, to having my quiet time with God, to working out, to having breakfast, and being at the library by 8:30 every morning. I had a routine. I changed my daily routine. During my first 2 attempts, I'd follow a rigid study schedule that did not take into account my natural energy levels. I didn't even have a routine before I studied. I was just stressed out, like, okay, I wake up in the morning, have a fresh cup of coffee, let's just study. Versus I prepared my mind, my body for it. And especially my peak energy levels. So when I got into, and if you I will link the video below. I've already have a video called your ideal study planner routine, I believe. But it talks about peak energy, and I realized that I wasn't even studying my peak energy levels for my first 2 attempts. So I was often felt drained, or studying early in the morning, waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, studying till 12 o'clock at night, sometimes 3 o'clock at night, just studying all day, just training myself. Left me just being unproductive, knowing I should stop studying, like, no, I keep on going, just stop, and procrastinating, or always needing time to take a moment to motivate myself. It was one of those things like, no, I can't do that. So for my 3rd attempt, I decided to study only during my peak energy hours, and which was for me in the morning. I am a morning person, and I absorb information like a sponge in the morning. I'm the most productive in the morning. So I decided to do the things that I hate to do the most in the morning, i.e. study, reviewing my material, reviewing the notes. Like, nobody likes to, like, it feels easier to watch a video or write your notes, but to actually study, to just say, hey, sit with this information, how are you going to remember this information? That's totally a different ball game. And I had to do that during the times, like my peak energy times, where I can absorb information and not be trying to do this at 10 o'clock 8 o'clock at night when I know I'm already low. My energy is low. I had to do the things that works best for me. So it's peak energy. Watch that video. I'm not going into details about it because I'll go into entire details about it in that video, okay? But I had to do that. I had to set aside uninterrupted blocks of time for focused study sessions. And that's when I always start talking about incorporate those breaks. That Pomodoro technique, we do it every single Monday on Make It Happen in Mondays. Our study with me, Naplex with me. It happens because I like call Make It Happen Mondays, but I title it Study With Me. Okay, never mind. But this allowed me to change. This change allowed me to be more efficient and retain information so much better because I decided to change my routine. The other thing I did was I created my ideal study plan. I created my study plan based on my peak energy levels, where I didn't focus on, I assessed my strengths and weaknesses. I looked at and said what areas I'm not too good at. For me, like I'm not necessarily a math person, but it was like one of those things. I guess when I was younger, math was a favorite subject of mine. And when I got to college, I was like, oh, this ain't fun at all. But one of the things of I can understand math, I'm good at it, but I don't like it. Like, I can figure things out. I guess because I like puzzles or something. I can figure it out, but I just don't like it in that sense. So for me, I created my ideal study schedule. I focused on my strengths and weaknesses. I looked at my peak energy and I focused on what the areas I needed to do and broke it down in manageable steps. I decided, okay, my pre-work, my pre-studying routine, I was going to simply, work out, do all those things. But then when I get to the library, what was the routine when I get to the library? Because I said I studied at the library. So I decided from 8:30 to 9 o'clock, that's going to be me getting my mindset ready. It's just like you're a sports person. I'm not a sports person, but I know a little bit. Okay. But it's like your pregame, right? From 8:30 to 9 o'clock was my pregame. I decided that I'm going to prepare my mind before I go out on the field. So from 9 until whatever, that was my study time. But that was, I started studying at 9 o'clock, but the pregame was 8:30 to 9, and I made sure that I focused on things I needed to study. Like, I prepared my mind for, hey, we're going to sit here and we're going to learn this information, we're going to do X, Y, Z. I started with a to-do list. That was the thing of I checked stuff out so I could look back. You know how that bullet journal, like, start out with things I check off so I know I did what I needed to do, because I said this final attempt I'm going to say that it's going to be nothing. If I fail this exam, it's not going to be because I didn't try. I was going to do everything in my power to pass the exam the way I needed to pass the exam, and I made it a point and an effort to do just that. So that's exactly why I want to make sure, like, with my ideal study schedule. I started the Pomodoro technique. I incorporate, 50 minutes. When you challenge yourself for 50 minutes to get some work done, you got to have some work done. So you realize in 50 minutes, I just didn't do anything. That's a wake up call for you. So for even like now, creating this planner, I told you I'm creating this Naplex study planner. Creating this planner is the exact same thing of, I have to say to myself, no, I need to do X, Y, Z. It's prevalent for me, like, because if I don't, I know I haven't succeeded. So that's definitely one of the things I had to do. Also too, utilizing resources. Utilizing what resources are available to you. Majority of the time, your school has already provided you with a prep book. I know some people may say one prep book better than the other. Being honest, everybody has its pros and cons. Even with my service and my coaching style, it has its pros and cons. You know what? I maybe create a whole separate video about that, like the pros and cons of what you can do. But lock in on one. Lock in on one particular source. For me, I had to lock in and say, am I truly maximizing what this company has for me? And the thing was, I wasn't. At the time I was doing this and doing that, I had to realize that to maximize on one thing. And then once I mastered that one program, then I went to another. And I'm saying me went to another, meaning that I had bought another test bank. So I started out with one. I'm not going to disclose things I use, okay? Because it's no one's better than the other, honestly. Because you usually buying money, spending money for no reason, okay? But I utilized one. And then once I locked in on what I had already available to me, I utilized the other one. And that helped me. And utilized the other was me not knowing I was creating the foundation for my own program. But I digress. But I had to learn that. Having that, locking in on one and then moving to the other one, that really helped me. doing that final attempt, because the first 2 attempts I was all over the place. Again, I was in those Facebook groups with somebody said, hey, I passed the exam, this worked for me, I did this and that, I just took the exam, I had this question on here, I did, and I was like, oh, let me go focus on this. It's like I constantly changed. It's like how you constantly change all the time. When you look at stuff in the mirror, you don't recognize you because you changed so much. And it was just how my study habits was. I changed so much that I didn't even recognize what I was studying, what I needed to study. And it was a problem. It became a big thing. So I definitely say that sometimes just locking in and utilize what's already available to you. And then you can find out different things that you may need. For me, it was, I had to lock in, but then again, like I said, people try to pin one source is better than the other, but honestly, everybody has their pros and cons. You have to figure out what works best for you, which program works best for you, what does that program offer, and that's according to your learning style. And if you need to know your learning style, I have a whole series on it in Source 2024 that talks about your learning styles. So just go back and watch those, and I'll link that below, okay? But that's definitely a thing. And and I talked about this. The next thing was I talked about, I need to start numbering these stuff because I don't remember what number I'm on, but y'all let me know. Put them in the comments, the numbers I'm on. Like, list them in order, okay? Because I tend to forget. But the next point, I don't know which number we're on, but I incorporated active learning techniques. I talked about in the previous video about being activity versus productivity. You can be active and running, but you running in place, versus being productive. You having scribes, you walked a mile, you walked 2, you ran. Well, I mean, it's using running, not walking, but anywho, you get what I'm saying. It's one of those things that you have to say, like, I had to use active learning techniques. I had to literally say, instead of me passively reading this textbook, I engaged myself about including activities like summarizing information I just wrote, putting it in my own words, teaching concepts to others. I had a study partner that we will just I would say probably like 2 or 3 times a week, if that. Even I think it was on like 15 or 30 minutes. We do like a 30-minute like check fest and just ask as many questions and then if we don't know, we'll teach the concept to other people. And it was like me applying my knowledge, like, and then to study. And then after I study, when it comes to the questions, I wasn't just trying to pass the quiz or practice exam, whatever you want to call it, practice questions, just to say, hey, I scored something. It was literally to apply the knowledge I had already learned from studying. Like, really, these were techniques that helped me to actively engage in the material and better retain the information. And lastly, one of the biggest things I did was I prioritized self-care. Self-care was the most essential thing to my success. Yes, I studied. I had 10-hour, 12-hour study days. But I always know on Fridays, since even I was in pharmacy school, before pharmacy school, Fridays are what I call date nights. And I just believe in it. And for me, it was whatever. I had a boo, I by myself, baby, it was date night, okay? And then the first 2 attempts, I neglected that. I neglected my date nights, my physical and mental well-being, which negatively impacted my performance. So for my 3rd attempt, I made a conscious decision to prioritize. Friday nights off was non-negotiable. Exercising every single morning was non-negotiable. Attending church, getting my faith, filling my cup up was non-negotiable. Eating more healthy, stop eating sugary snacks and things, and really eat healthy snacks that's gonna not make me sluggish doing that 4 to 3, 1 to 4 time where I feel sluggish. Like, eating healthy things that's gonna keep me energized and keep me going. Getting adequate sleep in my routine, making sure I'm sleeping at least 6.5 to 7 hours, because that works for me. Like, it was those things, incorporating mindfulness, incorporating social outings where I'm going to at least, like I said, I'm gonna have a social outing, like at least a weekend. Go do something fun. Just be me. Do things that help me. That was definitely one of the things that helped. Because self-care, doing those things with me helped self-care, helped my overall well-being. I even tell you a story. I remember one time, doing pharmacy school, I had failed a test. And honestly, that lady had put that score, the lowest and the highest on the board. Baby, I was the lowest one. My score was the lowest. It could be somebody else, but baby, to me, my score was the lowest one because our score was on the board. Do you hear me? I end up spring break coming home, and I just study, and it was like I had to ace the next exam to pass the class. And the next that I came on to spring break, I studied for a couple hours. I go have fun. I studied again, and then again I was still doing my peak energy times and taking my notes and studying. And I came back, I was like, oh my gosh, I should have did more XYZ. I should have studied more. I didn't do as much as I should have. I would maximize my time. But I had a good time at home, enjoying myself, being with my family and friends. And I came back, and y'all know I passed that test. So it was like one of those things of sometimes you think you just secluding yourself. You can't have fun, you know. They call it no days off and going in. But sometimes that can create so much anxiety. So for me, prioritize my self-care, help me to stay focused, reduce my anxiety, and help me perform my best because that was my reward. I always talk about, like, when I was in the last live, creating your habits, the habit loop. One of the part of the habit loop is reward, like how you are rewarding yourself for doing. Like, most times people like, no, I'm just gonna study, do ... until I'm at my reward and I pass the exam. But sometimes you gotta give yourself little wins and little rewards and cheers on the pats on the back while you are in the process, while you're in the grind, to say, hey, you have achieved something, you have done something, to give yourself grace. So I definitely say that. Definitely say that to you. Reflecting on this Naplex journey in this series has really been uplifting to me, to really say that, you know, LaQuita, you overcame it. And I remember at a time it was such a big giant in my life, and how it wasn't, because it's always gonna be another giant. Things will happen. Like that one says, 3 things always constant. You're either in a storm, going in a storm, or coming out one. And I was in that storm with that Naplex, and you're probably in that storm. But I know it may sound so minute, so simple, in the simplicity of these steps. But honestly, these simple steps were the foundation and game changer to help me pass the exam. It was literally a game changer, and honestly, it was the blueprint to how I truly encounter giants in my life now. Like, for instance, when my mother died, right? I spent such a long time in anger and in sadness, in depression, in bargaining. And once I start coming out of it a little bit, I was like, why didn't I just pray like I used to? I used to pray for people so hard who do me wrong. But I was just burning in anger. Like, when I just started reflecting and take a step back and say, something got to give, I gotta change something. And I started changing my responses of how I react to things. And it helped me to become a better person, where it was like I no longer was trying to survive life without my mom, to transition to how can I live life better, now seeing how life is so precious and we leave so quickly. That was the thought process, the transformation of my mindset. This series has really shown me that. Like even now I'm speaking to at the time of this video, I do have a giant, and the giant is honestly just being hot, honest, open, transparent. I'm good at a lot of stuff. I can do a lot of things. But sometimes it's like, but is it my purpose? Is it my why? Like the passion for it? Sometimes I wonder. I don't know what that looks like, but it's one of those things of saying, it's like, I remember this days that been such a giant, and how it's no longer one. And the lessons it taught me. It taught me a lot. Because it wasn't just about studying harder. It was about finding a way that worked for me. It was about me changing how I approach trials and tribulations. It was it was that. I want to encourage you, Doc, and yes, I said Doc, I want to encourage you to assess your study habits, make the necessary adjustments, identify those limited beliefs, replace them with those positive affirmations, change your routine to align with your peak energy times, structure that study plan to that thing to for structure the study plan according to your study habits, to your learning style. Utilize resources available to you. Incorporate those active learning strategies, and surely prioritize your self-care. If you need support on this journey, I'm excited to announce this upcoming release of a interactive Naplex study planner. We are in the works of it. You'll be seeing promo very soon. This Naplex study plan is designed with you in mind, with built-in study schedules, daily quizzes and tips for you, with daily motivation for you, and self-care. I believe that this planner will be a valuable tool for anyone who's preparing for the Naplex. Whether this is your first attempt, second attempt, or third attempt, or more. You may be on your last attempt. If you are days, couple weeks, I don't say days, couple weeks from taking the exam, you should definitely look out for this planner. You should definitely put this on your, I need to get this, I need to get into it. I'm not just pitching for me. It's one of, this is not created for to say, hey, I have a product. This is created because I want to give something to my clients and those who probably can't afford my services, but can't afford this planner. I want to help, and I wanted to give it to my clients because they needed more of day to day. And I wanted to give it to them and have some guides and a checklist of what to do. I hope something I have said transform your life, transform your journey, and propel you to take actionable steps to make this attempt, this Naplex attempt, your last attempt. Do yourself a justice and stop worrying about funds and money, and know that it's going to happen. Invest in yourself and take the steps that you need to propel yourself away. As I had to prepare yourself forward, I had to ask myself, what was I not doing? Did I exhaust all the things I could do, all the resources accessible to me? What did I need? What did I learn? I mean, what did I need? And for me, and for like you may need a coach. And you may say, well, Dr. Queen, I don't know if I'm you the right person. I don't know either, but we can't figure it out on the strategy call. Because I got to understand where you at, what you've been doing, and how I can help you move forward. Okay? Please like, comment, subscribe. Until next time. Remember that pharmacy is only if you are. Now go be great. Talk to you guys later.